Next, proselytizing. Members are encouraged to propagate teachings to outsiders. This not only maintains or increases the size of the group, but it also soothes cognitive dissonance. It consumes time and provides opportunities for public commitment. What do you think?
It did say there it consumes time, and I think this is why I brought it up during controlling time. In the same way that a lot of it is about like publicly committing, but a lot of it is about just repeating the ideology to other people. And sorry,
that's all right. Is it aimed at gaining new members of the community, or is it aimed at having the assumptions and ideas that the community holds basically take hold in every other institution outside of the community itself? Because I feel like there may be both of those dimensions.
I do think it is a little bit of both. And I think that most activists are going to say it is more of the latter, because I don't think they want to admit that they're literally recruiting people. But I do think that they are recruiting people by having incoherent, abstract ideas like gender identity that can't really be located in a person, that doesn't reflect a material reality, so that literally anyone could grab onto it.
It sounds like it's done with good intentions in terms of trying to create a safe environment so that people can grow up and assume whatever identity that they want to without fear of ostracism. It just ends up having a different effect as it plays out the way that the activism intends. How much pressure did you feel to educate others about the ideology? Was that an internally generated pressure, or did your peers within the group pressure you into it?
I think most of it would have been internally motivated. There were definitely people, like especially friends and like other people that I associated with, who were like sending me reminders sometimes or correcting me on certain things. But for the most part, it was just like my own sense of, I think, justice is the word I would use. I wanted to feel like I was enacting justice all the time.
Okay, another way to look at this question too is if you decided not to proselytize, not to comment on everything, not to try to educate people, would you still feel like you were doing okay?
I don't know. Because I feel like just comparing myself now and comparing to like what I was doing before, I feel like back then I would get a lot more positive attention when I was proselytizing, basically. Got people that were just cheering me on a little bit. And these days, because I don't do any of that, I feel like I am missing that in a certain way. I do try and talk about things that are related to my detransition, but not very often with people that I know that are like my friends and family, that are separate from like my social media life with all of my internet friends, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So like on Facebook, I never talk about detransition, but when I do, nobody ever comments and nobody even likes my posts, basically. So it's very, I don't know if anyone's reading them because there's no engagement, but yeah, it does feel like I was getting positive feedback before, where I'm just getting, I don't know if it's negative feedback, but zero feedback now.
Yeah, I would imagine that it would be scary for somebody to post by a detransitioner because of the social consequences that seem to follow that in social media these days. So there may be that reason behind it.
Yeah.
So it sounds like the proselytizing may not be commanded from down on high, but there's an internal motivation to do it because of the positive affirmation that comes from within the community itself. That can be a form of positive feedback that you become dependent on. What I think that's also true in other religious contexts, just in terms of if I was a Mormon and I had introduced the gospel to somebody at work, that might be then a story that I would tell in testimony meeting. And so I'm both verbalizing commitment, demonstrating that I've been proselytizing, and then feeling the acceptance and affirmation of the group. And all of those things are happening together at the same time in my own head, at the same time that I'm feeling good about myself because I'm doing what God wants me to do, because I've been given the message that every member is supposed to be a missionary. So a lot of these things are internally motivated because of acceptance of the belief of the ideas. Now, that being said, you can also find other groups where, for example, in Jehovah's Witnesses, they have to document a certain number of hours every week, every month of going door to door or engaging the public because they have such a strong proselytizing thing. That's very much a commanded from on high sort of thing. rather than an internal thing, unless you find a zealot who's a true believer who really doesn't even need the motivation from on high. And that may be more rare in that context. So what do you think? Proselytizing.
For me, I'm going to say moderate, but I can see how this can easily become severe for some people.
Okay.
Yeah.